Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make ribbon embroidered roses. Two types of roses, a cartwheel or a spider's web rose, but also a French knot rose. Both of these roses will add character to your ribbon work. Ribbon roses. There are two types of ribbon roses. One is called a cartwheel or a spider's web rose. This one here, and I've used the sheer ribbon for this. We've also got the little French knot rose. This one is worked in silk and these are worked in sheer. Same technique, but as you can see, you get a slightly different effect by the type of ribbons you're using. We're going to start off with the cartwheel rose, this one. You need an embroidery hoop, and I've got my polycotton fabric. Place that into the hoop. This just keeps your fabric nice and tight and easy to work with. We've got an embroidery needle with embroidery thread. I'm using pink so you can actually see my stitching, but try and tone it in with your ribbon colour if you can. Bring your needle up from underneath. I have no knot or anything, so I'm just going to do a couple of stitches to secure it. Give it a little tug, so make sure it doesn't come undone. You've got to keep your stitches quite tight because they will be put under some strain. So the size of your rose, I've got a large rose here and a smaller rose, is determined by the size of your spokes. So this will make about 1 centimetre, we'll make these sizes here, slightly less. Come up in the centre again and repeat it so you have 5 spokes to your rose. They don't have to be completely even. It just adds that little extra character to your rose at the end. So there's your 5 spokes. Now I always cast off in the middle of 2 spokes. Just doing another couple of stitches to secure. Once again, give it a tug to make sure it won't come undone, and then pass it through to the back of the fabric and cut the threads. Now onto the ribbon. This is a 10mm sheer ribbon. They use quite a lot of ribbon, so give yourself a good 50-60 centimetres. Cut it at an angle. And I'm using a chenille needle. It has a large eye and a sharp point. The sharp point means it will pierce the fabric without any problems, and the ribbon will follow through afterwards. Thread your needle in the normal way. To anchor the ribbon onto the needle so it won't come undone, just take the tip of the needle through the end of the piece of ribbon, hold onto the tip of the needle and pull the long piece of ribbon. This means it won't keep coming unthreaded. Now I like to tie a little knot in the bottom of my ribbon. Now in an ideal world you'd want to come up right in the centre of your rose, but if you do that you're going to get caught up with all these bits of thread. So come up as close to the centre as you can without piercing any of your threads. Give it a little wiggle and pull. Turn it over until the knot sits in the centre. Now it's called a cartwheel or a spider's web rose because you can see the effect of your spokes. Now we're going to weave over, under. You can use the sharp end of the needle, but I've got into a habit of using the blunt end. This way I do not pierce any of my threads. So I'm going to go over my first thread, under my second, wiggle it and turn. If it gets all mixed up, don't worry about it. Just keep pulling it through and it will sort itself out. So I've gone over, under, I'm about to go over this one and under the next. Pull it through, let it sort itself out. Now you want to keep it quite tight in the centre. So over this one, under your first one. You've got 5 spokes, an odd number. You can do this with 3, 5, 7 or 9, as long as it's an odd number, because you'll keep spiralling round to create your rows. So we've gone under this one, so we want to go over, under. Keep the centre tight. Once you've been round once, then start loosening off. Don't as you pull it through, see how the ribbon's forming and just ease it. That will create the nice fluffiness of your rose. If you pull it too tight as you keep going round, you'll end up with a cabbage. It will look like a cabbage. Nothing wrong with it. That may be your style, but most people like these floaty roses. And you just continue. When you get towards the outer edge, your threads should be covered. You can just see, because mine's pink, there we go, you can just cover them. And then probably one more turn all the way round and we're done. I'm not pulling tight, I'm keeping the floatiness. Now I think I just need one more petal here, so take it under that one. I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to lift up, and I'm going to take the needle down directly through the fabric. Okay, wiggle it through. Cover it back up, and then to cast off, once again the blunt end of the needle underneath one of those spokes, and then cut your ribbon. That's your cartwheel or spider's web rose. Okay, we're now going to make the little French knot roses. I'm using silk ribbon this time, not as long as before, only about 40 centimetres. Cut at that angle, thread into your chenille needle as before, and pierce the end. That just stops it coming off. A little knot, and then come up through the fabric. Make a French knot on your needle like you normally would, just turn it round once. Normally you would take it back down through the fabric, but we want to make that rose, so about 4 centimetres away from the end, take your needle in, slightly further down, out, in, out, and one more. Take your needle back down through the fabric, not in the same hole but to one side. But before you take the needle all the way through the fabric, just ease the ribbon down onto the needle so it sits onto the fabric. Hold on to it. Make sure you haven't caught anything on the back. Give it a wiggle and it comes through with ease. And there's your little French knot rose.